Hey prospectors, I'm Dan, Creative Director on the Cycle Frontier.
Hello, and I'm Michel, Senior Combat Designer on the Cycle Frontier as well.
And we are here today to talk about weapon balancing and power progression. We're here today to talk about our kind of high-level goals for these topics, what we're actually doing for the next patch and the upcoming ones, and lastly a little bit about our kind of strategy for how to tune weapons and balancing. So when it comes to power progression, our high-level goal is really about finding that sweet spot where getting better gear is something you want to do and you feel the impact of having better gear, but the disparity is not so great that you can't compete. So we want a person with maybe less good gear to be able to take down a top-geared player, but only if they play really, really smartly and, for example, ambushes them. We've been on both sides of this balance. We've had it be too strong, we've had it be not impactful enough. We're trying to find that sweet spot, and I think right now we're getting closer, but are looking to increase the disparity a bit.
A tiny bit.
A tiny bit. We also get a lot of questions about pricing of late-level gear, and this is something where it's tuned for the length of a full season. So we want you to be thinking about what gear to bring in and whether it's worth the money or not, and that of course changes depending on your income and your wealth. So here we're really taking our time and just checking how the season progresses as players get richer and richer.
Regarding power progression for the 1.3.5, which should happen very soon, we are looking into increasing kind of the effectiveness of the armor at very high tiers, so epic, exotic, and legendary, and same for the weapons. It will be a very slight change, but we're looking at basically what it will bring in terms of change in our data and feedback to see if it's enough or if you should do more in the future.
Another thing we really care about is all weapons having their distinct role in the game, and this is something that we continuously iterate on. Maybe you could tell us a bit about what we're doing for the next patch.
Yeah, one of the issues we have with current weapon is, for example, that the SMGs are a bit underpowered, obviously, because they are competing in situational effectiveness that is also the same as the ARs right now, and also the same as the shotguns, because shotguns are a bit too strong. At the same time, SMGs with their damage fall-off aren't really competing properly with the ARs, and we want to find a niche between these two types of weapons. So with next patch, we'll get the SMGs to be a bit more effective within their intended range by reducing their recoil and improving the mobility when you ADS with SMGs. Same thing as for the power progression change. It's not a big shift, but it should be enough to have an impact, and we'll observe and see how it affects how you play the game to see where we take it from there.
And what about shotguns?
So yeah, I was hinting at shotguns. Obviously, these are some of the weapons that are kind of most problematic for us. One of the main reasons is that the low-tier shotguns are for the trench gun and the bulldog are a bit too effective, which makes kind of the high-tier shotguns less interesting because obviously they don't compete as much as we'd like them to do. And since they're very powerful, it overshadows SMGs that are also intended to be competing at the same intended range. The main change would be on the trench gun, reducing its damage so that it can't actually 2 shots blue armor anymore, and we require at least 3 shots. It will also make it so naturally the weapon will be less powerful. And the second change is on the bulldog to basically reduce its refire rate, so consecutive shots will be a bit harder to land. And we're also looking at the PKR Monstrum, reducing the recoil to make it a bit more competitive, but at the same time increasing the spread.
Speaking of refire rate, something we also get some feedback on is grenade spam.
Yeah, good transition actually. So yeah, that's definitely something we were looking into, and having a delay between multiple grenades. So we are not set on a specific time right now, but it should be enough to allow players to get out of the range of the first grenade before the second one arrives.
Lastly, we just wanted to give you a bit of insight into how we're approaching weapon balancing and tuning now that we're live 24/7. So our really high-level goal there is to not swing metas, but rather make incremental improvements
what we're looking for is really kind of making sure that if players are comfortable with the weapon, they can still play it for at least the duration of the current season. Big shift in the meta might happen, but not within a single season.
A big part of this is also making sure that we get to gather enough data during a season, because we're just now starting to see more and more people unlock weapons like the Gorgon and the Advocate.
Yeah, that's why we don't make a huge change in the kind of high tier weapons, because we don't have a lot of players actually playing them, mainly because some of the low tier weapons are also potentially too good, which makes players not want to play the better ones. We feel not enough to make any change in the meta of the high tier weapons. That's why you won't see them for now, but it can and will probably happen in the future once more players get their hands on them.
Lastly, I just want to say, keep the feedback coming. We see it as a dialogue with you guys, and it's really an integral part of the process to iterate on weapon balancing. It is you giving this awesome feedback, so keep it coming.